Alright, hello. Here we are today with the Sleeper PC for Crimson Market. As we already saw some of the unboxing of it, we're going to talk about a little bit more about them. So as mentioned previously, we're going to be running the Gigabyte AM5 ATX V550 Aorus Elite, which has Wi-Fi 7 and DDR5 RAM. And we'll pull this out. When working on any PC, first part you usually work on is the motherboard. And now we're just going to set that one off to the side. Just while I grab this one out. So we can have a look at this one. And we can start as we go. Alright, so we'll probably, easiest thing to do next is chuck the CPU in. Which, if anyone can remember, we're working with a Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which is an 8-core, 16-thread, 5.2 GHz CPU by, obviously, AMD. AM5 socket. Very simple, very easy to install. Pull it out of here. Now, there's the triangle. There's the triangle on the motherboard. Well, I'm going to make sure we're lined up before I try dropping it in. Now, I still cannot. There's the triangle. Just a little blind up in that corner there. So, let's line the triangles up. Chuck the CPU in that socket. I'll go left-handed so that you can see a bit better there. Alright, it is in, proceeded. I'm going to close her up, which a decent amount of forceful. That pops off the cover. Keep that, by the way, because if you ever need to use your motherboard or put it away in storage, you're going to want to put that over the things. Alright, CPU in. Next one we should probably work with is the RAM. Is that, as you can see, goes right next to where we're working. We're short on this desk, so I'm going to grab these down. Here we go. So as we talked about, we're working with the Corsair Vengeance, which is a 6400 megahertz DDR5 RAM. We're going with 64 gig today, 4 sticks at 16 gig each. Alrighty. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure these line up. Drop them in. 1 by 1. Next one. Same dealio, make sure it's all lined up. Click it in. Alright, next kit. As we said, we're going 64 gig today. So 4 sticks. So it doesn't really matter about which channel we're using for the RAM, so we don't have to worry about even looking that up today. Which, as we all know, putting RAMs in a little boring. But that crunch when you're putting fresh RAM on a brand new motherboard, it feels nice. If you don't know, it really doesn't feel right, does it? Alright, we got the RAM in. What do you think's the next easy peasy piece to do? Now what? Probably pull this cover off and get the M.2 in. Which, what are we working with for the M.2? We are using a Crucial P3. Yes, we are. So that's a 4 terabyte M.2 made by Crucial. It's NVMe. It has a write speed of 3500 megabits per second. Just gonna check that. Well, let's see, it works nice and easy. Right there. And undo this clip here. Slides that off. As you can see, it already comes with thermal pads attached. We'll remember to get that plastic taken out. Now, because this is a little backwards, I'm going to turn this around. Make it a little easier for me, and maybe the camera. See the slot there. go. Slide her in and that down. Ooh, I almost forgot. Pull off. Plastic off the bottom thermal pad. That would have been a very big rookie mistake. Easy peasy. Now, we just put this one back on. Now, I know we're not using all of them. In fact, I think we're only going to be using this one today. So we'll take that one off. But because it's recommended by the manufacturer to take them all off, even when not using, we're going to be doing that. Now, we slide in, down, we undo that. You see the little tabs, they're just here. I'm going to slide in just above the M.2, which is a very small margin of error. I'll chuck that in there. If I can line it up. Of course I can't. I need the motherboard on the side so I can see it a bit easier. But I'm trying to make it a bit easier for you to see. Makes it a lot harder for me sometimes. There we go. That should not have been hard in the slightest. Ta-da! Alright, now we got that in. What else did we need to worry about? We're not going to paste that yet. Alright. We might actually look at taking these off to get ready for our cooler brackets. As we talked about, we're going to be working with the Forza 135 dual tower cooler. So we take these off. We're just going to drop them in. I've got the containers over here. So we don't lose that. Alright. There's one side off. Put that over near the screws. Get the second one off. And I'm just using my hand tool today. Could not find my drill. But electric screwdriver. Don't use a drill on your computer. That is a good way for things to end badly. Alright, so now that that's on, we can slide this one back just out of the way. And we pull this one out. Forza 135 dual tower air cooler, which, as we've also talked about in the previous go, comes with two fans, a 120, a 140. 140 goes to the center, 120 on the outside. But right now, I probably didn't even need to pull any of them out. I needed that box from the top. We're going to chuck that one over there, nice and out of the way. I'm going to chuck this one. So in here, I believe I've already pulled out the Intel brackets because we want AMD brackets. Now that's for fan clips. Yep, these are where we want to start. I'm going to pull these forward. Grab out AMD brackets. It should just actually sit on top. Pretty certain they go on the outside. So we're just going to double check the orientation of them quickly. Because you don't want to get halfway through a build, find you've done something wrong, and need to pull it all apart. Your Intel. No. Intel again. AMD. And look at that. It's only a tiny little section. How much easier is that? So we want a little clippy majiggity ding on the inside. Anyway. Okay. As you can see here, I'll explain it a little in depth. I'm not sure if you're getting any glare from that. Essentially, we've already removed the black pieces. That's the plastics over there. Second one, we put the spacers on, which I'm going to show you them now. They are these ones. Then after the spacers go on, you then insert those brackets on top. Alright, so let's get the spacers in place. Really nice, simple, easy task. Just sit them. Sit on there, essentially. Alright, I need to do them and the screws at once. Should just be 4 screws. Easy peasy, let's throw them everywhere because why not? It's always fun to have to find screws, isn't it, guys? And then one there. And one on the other side. Get those screws through. And of course I've done that backwards. So we're through there. Through there. Spaces on top. Yeah, and then we sit them on and we screw them in. So let's pull that back forward towards me. Line it up. Interesting. That space is supposed to go over the top of it, but it's just not. Interesting. Let's figure this out. I'll undo this one again. Pull that out nice and slowly. For this spacer, ta-da, nice, easy. This one, just wanted to be difficult when I had the screws. Alright, easy peasy. Ta-da! And again, oop, catch. Easy peasy. Spacer goes on. Little top bit sitting internally. Line them up. There we go. And we'll tighten them down together. Not too tight. Not too loose either. You know, so I'm switching so they come down nice and even. You don't want to pinch where it's on the side. Otherwise it's not going to get flat flush on the CPU. Alright, let's do the second one. And the second screws, same deal, goes internally. Let's get the line screw in. Like that. Get the second screw in. That's going in. Same deal, we don't want to do it too tight, we don't want to do it too loose. And a nice, even grab, which I'd like to say, that feels pretty good to me. Alright, now that we've got the brackets on there, next step would be to mount the cooler. Now, it's probably going to be easier to mount it now rather than try, you know what? I think the motherboard going in the case might just be the same sort of easiness at this point. As we talked about, using the old speed case for the Pendulum 4s. We talked about how it's got its own little vent, which sits over where the old CPU used to sit. That will allow cooling to get directly out. But that's going to be in our way. So let's sit this down, quickly undo those 4 screws and get them out of our way. That comes, throw that pretty much away. It's never going to be used again on this case. Alright, now I'll set that side panel out of the way. Not going to need that again until this thing's put together. Alright, so let's move the front AO cables out of the way. And we'll move this motherboard into the case. Woohoo, let's get the platform in. Alright, as mentioned, this motherboard has the I/O attached, so we're going to have to put that in beforehand. And look at that. Oh, perfect. Alright, so go to the motherboard box. Grab out the screws. Because of course the motherboard screws are not in the motherboard case. Where would I have put them? Interesting. Wi-Fi adapter, SATA cable, no motherboard screws. And of course, as we talked about before, a nifty little G connector, which we're going to use on some of these cables. Alright, so right now it seems I have overlooked a big thing, and I do not have motherboard screws. Interesting. I'm going to have to pause this and go find some motherboard screws, which I'm certain I should have about 8,000 of them somewhere. Alright, welcome back. I found my screws for the motherboard. So, as mentioned, I'm going to screw this one down. And got a standoff that holds it in position, like kind of, so you don't have to worry about it moving. So that takes one, and we just need 8 screws. Right. 1, 2, 3. And as mentioned before, when it comes to this sort of stuff, you tighten it till it's nice and tight, but not pinching. You only do it till it's grabbing nice and firmly. And that's the one in the corner here. That'll be sitting right under our graphics card. So we want that one to be, well, there. Alright, so there should be 3 down here. 1 corner. It's in. Good. And I'll still have that one top one. Which will do. I'm going to turn this case a little bit. It'll be right in the corner here. Right next to where our 8-pin and our 4-pin CPU powered. We'll go and let that fly. Alrighty, motherboard, sturdy. Ooh, ain't gonna go nowhere. Alright, so I honestly think the next part will be the easiest part, would be to get that cooler on there, which is why we want the motherboard mounted down. So I'm gonna set this one up, I'm gonna turn it around, I'm gonna undo these back two, that way we can get the panel off. So I'm going to make this other side panel off so that I can get the back of the cooler mount. No, I do not. I've done way too much. So I'm going to need that off anyways for cable management and for running the fan hub. Let's get that off. Get this down. Get this out of the way. We'll grab out our cooler. As mentioned in the last video, here's our two fans, which I did pull up. Just there. We're going to grab out of our box a nifty Corsair Cougar screwdriver. Now let's get this one out. It's out there, because I am going to paste this thing. Now, I actually am going to use the paste that it came with. It should be right there. Right in front of me, easy peasy. Alright, so crack it open. There's plastic on it. Alright. Let me see if my screwdriver's sharp enough. Otherwise I have to get up, and I don't want to get up. Yeah, these are the sort of things that I'll know to do ahead of time in the videos. Alright, off she goes. So for this one I'm going to do a nice, quick, easy cross. Now a small dot. It doesn't want to clump up like that. So just grab any of its plastic, scrape it off. There we go. One. There we go. That should be more than sufficient. Maybe a little more than necessary, but that's okay. Alright, then let's get this cooler on. Now, top plastics need to come off of there. And warning, peel off label before using it. That makes sense to me. Alright, so this one, you just orientate it on top. Screws, just spring screws, will line on it. And I grab my Cougar screwdriver. And I line it up and screw it down. We'll do this. Which one I'm going to do? Side to side. So they've only got 2 screws on each side, and I'm going to do one. I'm going to get 3 or 4, maybe 5 turns. Do the same on that side. I'm going to keep doing that. The mounting pressure is nice and even. Turn this. Just did all that screwing. Well, nothing. I didn't even have it lined up correctly because, oops. Why don't they line up on their own? Alright. That one. And this one does not line up. Okay. So that's easy peasy. Means one of these brackets, probably this one, needs to be just loosened a little bit. A tiny bit of give on it. Make it a little bit easier to line it up. That's that one on. Why do they have to make my day difficult? It's already been a long enough day. Alright. Loosen them both. Just a wee bit so that I can line it up a little better. Alright, so been quite long enough. This has been a little difficult to get on. That's okay. So what I gotta do, actually figure out why it's not lining up. It really should. Yeah, feel it click that side. It's not lining up that side. Whee. All right. Yeah, I get it. Just took a few more attempts than necessary. But, woohoo, we're in. Continue using this Cougar screwdriver because it fits nicely. Same rule as always, a few turns each side. Switch back, tight, but not too tight. Perfect, that should get nice compression. All right, we'll put the fans on a little later. Huh. You're gonna have to undo that because I've put it on upside down. This computer will sit up that way. We want to look at the words nicely, facing the right way. Right. It may have been a jerk to get on, but we're going to undo you and start that process again. Woohoo! Aren't we all happy? Sure, if I'm lucky, this will get taken out in editing and I won't have to worry about it. But they could just think it's funny to watch me squirm like this. Have a good laugh, and if you can see now, I've got an almost perfect placement on that CPU without it going over or being too much. Maybe slightly too much, but not. We got the one again. Same deal. I'll line it up roughly. Put just 2 turns, 3, 4, 5 into that one. And then it's holding. And I can get that one on like that. Do the same deal. 1, 2, 4, and 5. And she's gripped. So now we're going to tighten it down. 4, 2, 3, 4. 1 for extra. 2, 3. And we should go 1, 2, 3. Slightly more than when it grabs. Only a slight little bit. Now, okay, it's facing the right way. Alright, next piece to chuck in here. Probably power supply. I hope I didn't do that before. I probably should have gotten it in before this call. But that's no issue. Now let's chuck this to the side just for half a second while we grab out our power supply. Which, if everyone remembers, we're using a Silverstone, what is it, the Decathlon Series 1000 watts. It's the DA1000R 1000 watt power supply, fully modular. What else can we say? It's a power supply, I guess. Yeah, it's gold rated. PCI Express 5, fully modular. Alright, making a bit of a mess tonight. I say tonight because if you haven't realized, it's late, so I'm a little slow tonight, guys. Been at this for a bit of some time now. And with Easter coming up tomorrow, we've all been preparing for that. Which, hey, everyone knows that's the fun part, right? Getting ready for it. Alright, so now, do we want this to be the most practical or the prettiest? Because unfortunately, oh no, they do it both ways, whichever way you want the fan orientation. So I want it going down, otherwise it's going straight into the top and doing absolutely nothing that we want it to do. So we'll line that up. Hey, if I was doing it the right way. There you go. Shouldn't have been that hard. Oopsies. Got it all lined up this time. Alright, now, having a bit of a theme of having a problem getting screws. But, great Silverstone, they actually included it. Hallelujah. Which one of the other things they include that we're going to be using today that I think is incredibly convenient. It's the 600 watt cable for the power supply, which will make that so much easier. All right, now that we've got our power supply screws, let's lock her in. There we go. All right, so one by one. Well, my fingers work. I haven't already mentioned. It's been a long day. Ah, that's why it doesn't like that screwdriver. That's why I have the big one. It's because that one's got too much of a tip on it. It doesn't really get into the grooves necessary. This one, on the other hand, doesn't have that issue. Alright. There's two. Really wish I had my electric screwdriver right now, but I've either misplaced it or it's in the bottom of my laptop bag and I cannot find it. Which is quite possible. Screw her in. Alright, fourth screw. Ta-da! We're in. Power supply. Mounted. Now let's sit up here. I think the next thing we should have a look at getting in here is probably, let's get these fans on. So I believe they're just some little clip brackets. We'll have a look. This Forza did this bit of a weird one. They came with two, so it'll be a 140 and then a 120. Personally, I'm probably going to try and get the 120 on the back here, but that depends how much clearance I'm going to have once I insert this. One of Deepcool's X-Fan 80s, which is their little 80mm fans. That just come with a basic Molex connection. So we'll line that up. One there. No touching, but probably a little obsolete. So now that we've figured that out, easy peasy, we'll go on this side. Excuse me, I'm just gonna have a drink of water, guys. Water's the best. Alrighty. What is it there? MHP 120. I believe on this side we're going to find this is the MHP 140. Hello, Cougar. I love it. Cougar. I've included the necessary arrows. The amount of fans I found that don't is annoying, especially if you're using multiple. Alrighty, so now that actually connects to it with these brackets. Just added this bit when you're doing it. Just down the squiz, make sure I'm right. Yeah, easy peasy. Always right, it's just a little clip to grab onto it. Alright, so we should have 4 of these. Is it 4? I believe it's 2 for, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. But they're sharp little buggers, and they keep grabbing onto the bag. Come on, guys, be free. Oh, I'm gonna rip this bag if they don't hurry up. Really, be careful. These are very thin bits of metal, and I don't want to bend them. Let's get this one forward just slightly. I'll lay these out toward us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'll come with 6 in case you want to install a third fan onto this, because you can. Personally, I'm only going to be putting the 2 that are included on. So I'll set the other 2 off to the side out of my way. Now, according to the little booklety thing, the little one's on the outside, and they just collect. So I'm not entirely sure. how that grabs. Just sitting there. Alright. I'm a fan of these clips. So, Cougar, where's there? Once it faces that way, we want it running through it. So that'll sit in there like that. These slide on under the fins, which might be a little hard for you to see up top. Just rips on under there. But only once it's in there. So I'll feed that through there. See guys, I'll hold that in place, turn it around, move this one on this side, same deal, put that through there, one and plus the bottom one's going to get a little more difficult. Everything decides to be in the moment. Let's pick you up out of the way, so I'm going to pinch that cable in the process. Okay, I'm having trouble getting my fingers in there. 1 and 2, there we go. Seems I was working on bad angle. And there we go. That is how they mount. Really easy, really simple, but as you just saw for me, can be frustrating. Alright, so I'm just going to feed that cable down through there. As long as I'm done, I'm going to try and get that through down the back. This one, I'm going to try and get the cable facing the same way. Alright. I seem to have dropped the clip. I found it. Not that it was lost. Alright, there's the arrow. 140 is the internal one. That goes there. Now I believe I'm going to want to attach that to the back one, which is where I was right. I should have put these on before the power supply, because now the amount of room I'm going to have is almost 0. Now let's see if I can get my big fat fingies in there, or if I'm going to have to remove the power supply. Alrighty, you know what? I might just have enough room here. There's one clip on. Good. And of course, that came off now already. There we go. Second one down there is being a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure it's not impossible. All right. Go. Didn't have to. Woohoo! Alright, so I'm going to turn this around to do the other clip, which will be a lot easier because I've got a little bit more room on this side. A lot more room. Alright, that's in there. We'll get it through the bottom hole. It's nice and easy. Oh, should be. Where I can get it. I feel like this video is probably going to need a lot of editing, just to pull out the stuff that's all this slow filler stuff where my fingers are being difficult. And on. Now, I'll probably check the power cable off of that one. Yep, perfect. They're facing the same way. Alright, we got all of that now attached. All right, this is probably where we start talking about the funnest part, the graphics card, which personally, as I talked about earlier, is my favorite part. It's the one that most people spend the most money on, and it's the one that you're probably going to upgrade first when you're changing your computer if you don't want to do a full platform. So we have talked about this. We're running the GALAX RTX 5070 one-click OC. So it's their 12 gigabyte GDDR7 graphics card, which I love the GALAX company. First and foremost, they've never let me down. They've always had the parts that I've needed. And when it comes to wanting to build and you're not gonna have the most room, most clearance, GALAX release ranges that are somewhat smaller. As you'll notice, this only has two 92mm fans. They're not even 120s. The card's obviously shorter than 240. They wouldn't have fit two 120s in this. Alright, so we'll take this little taggy off and we'll get the graphics card instead, which I bet you once I start looking for it, the graphics card screws will be missing because that seems to be the theme of today. Don't worry, we have screws everywhere. Whether or not they're easy or hard to find is the other question. My labeling of things and my organizational skills are, well, let's just say questionable at best. So just moving that back plate that sits over the top of this because I need to be able to get the graphics card in. Now I'm going to have to pop this out, which if you've had built before, right now you can pop the screwdriver. There we go. No, of course, got caught on the corner. No. Go away. Alright, let's get this one fitted. Make sure you line it all up. Because as we talked about, probably the most expensive part in most builds is this piece. And, silly Billy me, didn't pull that clip all the way back. Even though I lined it up, wasn't going to go in. Ta-da! We're in. Alrighty. Now we'll screw that one back on, which, let's get that done. Ooh. That was a bit of an unsavory sound. Very, very unsavory. Alright. It should be into case screws. That more. Alrighty. Yeah. Put this in here, line it back up, screw it in. Let me chuck the second one in. And we're mounted. Now let's grab one of those deep cool fans that we talked about that I'm going to chuck on the back here. As we're standing, well, we're not standing, but we're right here. And we're going to mount it. Now, deep cool did not put an arrow. See? That's why we like Cougar. That's okay, we can always figure that out later. And that goes on like that. And they've given me the 4 little screws. But I want to make it so it comes out the bottom there. So that'll be the easiest for cable management when it's time to do that. Okay, I'll open that up, get out our little screws. grab a empty bowl so I don't lose any, and start mounting. Easy peasy, line it up. Which should be easy peasy. We'll try and stay out of the way so you can see what I'm doing as much as possible. Make it a little bit easier for you if you want to replicate this in the future. One, and number 3. And number 4. Done. That's our first fan installed. That's our platform done. What do you know? We're pretty close to completed. We're going to run some cables from the power supply. We're going to run that fan hub. We'll hopefully be able to fit that other 80mm fan. But honestly, I think clearance-wise, we're not going to have room anywhere. I might try and get creative and see if I can fit it, say, on the front there. But we'll see if we can make room. I was actually just thinking, I don't think I'm going to have room anywhere. But that's okay. People make good products and we'll figure out a reason to use it later. Alrighty, so we'll go to the front I/O. We'll go back to our motherboard box and we'll get our G connector, which might be surprised how happy I am to see this thing. Because it is so boring lining all these up, reading out a motherboard box manual. So all we have to do is line it up here. Top one, power LED. We'll just grab power LED. Positive first, feed that in. Done. Positive, done. Power LED negative. And negative. Done. Now, it's got power. That's the next one. Power switch. And positive, negative. Which is unfortunate that these are together, but that should be positive there. So I'll run that one in like that. Done. Just untangle these cables a little bit. Alright, speaker one's the next one there, but we'll do that. That's the other cables. And on this side, there we go. We got the reset switch, which that should be positive there. And reset switch, that's positive. Alright, so that one goes. Same spot in there, connected. This one goes in that way, connected. As you can see, we're making the panels we need. Alright, front I/O completed. Now these are voice cable, iTunes. There we go, there's mic in, speaker out. There we go. Which means this one might even have Yeah, so they're 1 volt, 2 volt, 1D pluses. They're not something we use this day and age, and motherboards don't even come with it anymore. So mic. That's interesting. Power LED there. Power. Then on this side it's got power LED. Why would there be 2 power LEDs? They're both exactly the same, but they're in different placements on the thing. I guess at this point I check the motherboard because the G connector can be used with multiple. And honestly, instead of having to look over this motherboard, you should grab out this really quick and easy. It should be in that one. And we'll just quickly look for orientation. Boring, boring, boring. RAM, we've done all of that. And I8, there we go. Connect cables to the internal connectors. That is all it says. That is brilliant. So very thankful for that. I would never have known to connect cables to the internal connector. Wow. That didn't even have an orientation for the motherboard. Which means I'm gonna have to check this and then plug her in and go from there. Yeah, front I/O should be there. And how have they connected it? Now there is 2 ways to check this. I could Google it, take the time, because they didn't include it in the manual. Or I could just grab a power cable, plug it in, and see if the button works. And I'm gonna go with that way. And I think I was even smart enough to grab a power cable. Ta-da! I was. Lucky for me. So we'll just do the little zip tie thingy-majig. And do the little plastic. Plug that into my power board over here. And I'll plug this into my power supply. And I'll grab my power cables. I just need to do, alright, so that one is SATA power. SATA power. Probably find the bag's gonna have quite a bit of SATA power in it. So let's move this forward a little bit. Just tip them on out. Alright, so there is what I was looking for. And now that's my PCI Express, so that's my graphics card. This is my 8-pin EPS. Alright, that should be all I needed for those. Shouldn't need. And which one was that? Is it EPS? No, it is not. Let's get that out of the way. And undo the clips off this one as well. Now, I'm going to plug this into power supply, which is simple and easy enough. goes that way. That's in. Now I plug in this one. It's a little stiff. But that's in. Now we'll grab the EPS cable. Should just be right there. And I do have an 8. Yes, I do. And so this one plugs in the power supply side, which, if I remember correctly, will be this one. Yeah, it's not. Which means I've plugged this one in first, and I definitely should have done that one second. I'm going to grab this one, 8-pin, and plug her in down here. Oh, look how simple that was. Yeah. What's the chances this one will be just as simple to plug in? Connect that one. Get it. And I'll get my fingers. Definitely going to recommend, if anyone wants to do this, put the cooler in last, because I am not fitting my hands in there, which means we're going to be taking the cooler out. But I might be able to get away with just undoing the middle fan. I get my fingers in there. No, I can't. That's fine. No screwdrivers. Put this one over here. We'll put our clips down. Undo these. I'll flip that. And I'll plug this 8-pin in. Whenever I can line it up, there we go. Of course, I'm having trouble getting my fingers around it. Just because the moment my fingers are deciding to play up, usually means we're going to get rain. And there we go. Interesting. Oops, I can't get my hands in there, guys. Just making this a lot more difficult. Alright, so this is now taking that long that it's embarrassing. I should have been able to get that in much quicker. Oh, I've stacked myself. So we're going to stop there for a sec. I'm going to get that cleaned up. Alright, we're back. Pretty little band-aid. Let's hope it stays on. Alright, so guys, I realized my issue. I was using the wrong cable. Only because I wanted the EPS cable, and for some reason I thought I was using it. That's alright. We're going to pull that out. And I'm going to plug this one in there. Which, hey! Easy peasy. Put that one in. This really has been difficult. Alright, so EPS, there we go. Jesus, that was being a nightmare. And frankly, somewhat embarrassing for me. Alright, that is in. Now I can plug this one in. I'm trying to do what I'm doing on this thing, but like turn it to where I'm comfortable. Makes it a lot easier. Might make it a little bit more difficult for you to see, but it's only for a quick sec. Alright. Why is that one being difficult? Let's see. Doesn't want to go in very easily. Alright. Now I haven't plugged the graphics card in, I'm just going to test that the power button works. Just remember, that's what we were wanting to do. This whole 20 minutes I've been wasting time. And it worked. Sweet. Turn it back off. Perfect. Alright, so that is the power button. Woohoo! Alright, let's get them out of the way. But I am going to keep that cable plugged in. Otherwise, I'll have that nightmare again with the cooler. Alright, now this one though, that one wasn't in the way. Obstructed in any way, so let's set that one down with my pile of, well, mess. And we'll get this one back on. Alright, same orientation, we want it facing the way people are going to be. Oops, we're going to use the included screwdriver. Just because it's that little bit longer, makes it that little bit easier when you haven't misplaced it. Sorry guys, we're at about 11:30 at night and... Oh, there we go guys, I dropped it. Easy peasy. Alright, let's get this cooler back on and I can stop making a mess of things. And one side. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the second side. Alright, and we're back on. Alright, we're back. Finally got a band-aid that works and my finger's not bleeding. Alright, so we've had our little setbacks, which, hey, let's be honest, all of us have them, even me. So we've got the cooler back on. I'm going to mount that just a little bit tighter because I believe it's still a little loose. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go, we're starting to get a little bit more tightness on that. Perfect. And perfect, same deal. Tighten to a point, don't over tighten, you'll regret it. All right, now that we got all of that on, we can get that fan back on, and it's not going to be in the way of me doing anything else, so I won't have to take it off later, because let's be honest, that would suck. All right, so run the fans, right on that way, the cable going down there. All right, so grab our little clips again, clip that in, and now this one was the awkward one because I put the power supply in first. So got my screwdriver, got a little bit more leverage on it. There we go, one, and still only one. Actually, you know what? The bottom just came loose. So we pull this out, chuck it back on, slide it back in. Make sure the cable's where we want it to be and that it's not getting pinched. And there we go. Might be easier to start on the bottom one. So let's get this on. You know what? Change of plans. This one's annoying me already. I'm just going to do this one first. Slide it back in. There's one. Two. Just run down. There we go. Now that I got one on, it's a bit more simple to get the second one on. Hopefully. So if I have to pull that power supply out to do this, I'm going to be beyond tired. Tonight has been a long film. Something that I don't usually do when I do builds, so everything is taking longer than it should, including just getting this in. Of course, it's going to be difficult. How am I going to get the clearance to get that on? So I can see the hole. I can almost get it in. Right. I do need to get that one off. So I have to get this clip on that side. Before I slide the fan in, oh, it doesn't fit. Alright, here you go. Look pretty word. Alright, so I'm gonna have to. There we go. And of course I'll let go, yeah. I'm having a A wee bit of troubles with my hands tonight. Now that I got that clipped, turn the case around, so hopefully you can see. I don't know how well you can see on there. The clips in. I've just got to make it fall out again. Yeah, I miss the days where I could just screw this in before these little clips came in. Oh, they're so much easier. No. 4 screws were never difficult to put on. And oh. And okay. Of course, I'm missing the whole point. So I'm chatting away with you as I do this. Unfortunately, it's frustrating me. I'm like a big baby right now. Just do what you're supposed to do. Alright, done. Both of them are on. So it should not have been that hard. Definitely should not have been that hard. Now, I don't have the room to put these on. So I gotta get these 4 on together. Get you out of my way. Slide it down, 4 in. I'll hold one side while I connect this side. One and none again. I'm sure a lot of you can get some pretty over this cooler by now. As much as I want to say that, it is still a good cooler. It's just my hands playing up. There we go. 1. And my clip's already in, it didn't fall out. Because I think if that had happened again, I probably would have called it for the night, gone to bed, and resume this tomorrow. Which I really didn't want to have to do, seeing as tomorrow's Easter. So I would rather spend some time with family. But hey, we're all on deadlines. We've all got to do what we got to do, right? There we go. Yay! Done. I may need to slightly move that fan, just because my clearance was. Yes, it is. So I now need to undo the very difficult part. Turn this back around. We'll undo this side. Alright, I can move the fan down just that slight little bit. There we go. 1. Well, it won't be difficult now. You have to put you on and off 20 times. You should know what to do. And let's get this side. You're not going to believe it, guys. This side's come off. Which means the entire thing needs to come out, so I get that oil clip back on. Max, for the love of Christ, edit a bunch of this out. This is one of those things that should not happen and is really frustrating me. Alright, 4 clips on, fan in position, 3 clips in. Okay, of course, one had to come out. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide it in. Grab my trusty little screwdriver and put this in for what I am hoping will be the last time. Ta-da! Fans in, cables in. I shouldn't have any more issues. Whew. Alright. Now, that what is probably one of the worst times putting together that stuff, I'm now going to go off to the side because we will plug all of that in as I do the cable management stuff. Now we're going to move. Yep, they're in. Power supply. Alright, so at this point I'm going to start plugging in the power supply and trying to figure out how we're going to cable manage this. Because I don't have that hidden compartment down the back. If you turn this around, I have less than the length of my fingers behind there. I'm going to try and run cables in, hide them as much as possible, maybe even try and hide some in behind here. And then we can zip tie it through there or cable tie whatever I've got sitting there. I believe I've got little cable ties. Yeah, so we're going to have to worry about that sort of stuff. Alrighty. Let's start getting these power cables plugged in. Now, all I'm going to need now is that one. There's me biggin for motherboard power. And I'm going to need my 600 watt cable for the GPU. But we're not running anything else that's going to need anything. No, so we're not running any SATA drives, or obviously, well, not obvious, some people still do, but disk drives, we won't be running any of them. Alright. So let's get this up and going. So, next cable, I want my 600 watt power. Of course, it's going to be, just give me a sec, it'll be the last one I picked up. That actually is the last one I picked up. Because it wasn't that. Did I sit her off? I didn't sit it to the side. So I got my PCI Express, SATA, Molex. Haha, I'm going to need a Molex cable. That one with 2 splitter. And it's not that one. Alright guys, I have no idea. It should be here with these cables. You know why? Because it is still in the box. Of course, it's the one I don't pull out.
Fun fact, it's always going to be the last cable you pick up because it's the one you need.
Yeah, so we're going to undo this cable tie. Easy peasy. Well, should be. There we go. So then this should be the only cables we need for our computer today. All of them can be set off out of the way. Alright, so we're going to run this guy first. So this is motherboard side. Let's plug her in. No, I should be plugging it all into the modular power supply. Usually works out a bit easier. I should work my way from the bottom upwards. So right now, here's my EPS, my PCI Express, and my Molex. So the Molex is actually going to be the bottom one. We'll plug her in right at the bottom. Should be right there. Alright, there's that one. Right. Now this one is actually awkwardly down the bottom, but I'm gonna try and figure out how to manage that one a little nicer before I do that. I'm gonna run this one in. That's in. On the wrong side. And that one will go to our motherboard, but again, I've got to try and figure out how to cable manage that. And now there's that one, it's the last one to go in, which is in an awkward spot, but I'll make one for it. Alright, so now I'm at the point where it's all the boring things of turning this around. Get my fan hub out, my Silverstone fan hub, which, as we've talked about, and I'll reiterate, it was a Silverstone CPF 04 1-8 PWM fan hub, which just means solar power, which I thought one of them had. Okay. So I am going to need a SATA power cable after all. I didn't think about the fan hub, but it is going to need its own power source, of course. And we are still going to need the Molex for those fans, and then this one for the other fans. Alright, so I'm going to actually feed this one into the back and around out of sight, because that is where we'll put the fan hub. And the back out of sight. And then I'll run this one. Sorry guys, I'm not used to recording as I do this, so I'm a little all over the place. And then this one goes in there. Nice, easy. Alright, I'm going to turn this back around. So we're looking at the back of it. Hello, ugly cables. We've got this one running down to what'll be the fan hub. Now the fan hub, I'm going to grab some double-sided tape. Let's pull off that pretty little plastic, even though it's not really necessary. And now we don't have the clearance to sit it in here, so it actually has to go in here, But we are, I might actually put it all the way up the top. It will block some of it, but we're not using it, and it might look a little nicer. The other way I was thinking was placing it down the bottom. Then we could run the cables. If I try and set it midway, it's not, you know what, maybe we'll go this way, and then we'll bring all the fan cables in. Yeah. But for now, we're going to plug this one in. So that it's got power. And now this isn't permanent. I'm just going to tuck that in there a little bit, just so it's out of the way. As I said, it's not permanent, it's just out of the way. It's not going to work. And that needs to run to the motherboard. Now if I sit that there, probably better off going that way, because I need that cable to the motherboard. To run to there, you need it to reach and sit nicely. So let's pull that around. We'll find that it needs easy 4-pin fan connection. Might even just be a 3-pin. But either way, we're going to put that there, so it's roughly where we're going to put it. Of course, it wants to stand up. There we go. That's this one. Look at the bird's nest we've made. And so we have our fan hub positioning down here. Okay, so closer to the bottom is going to be better. And now we're going to clean that up. This one is easy. We're going to deal with that one soon. I'm going to chuck this one in so we know it's plugged in. Now it is a 4. Just funny. There we go. And when it comes to cleaning up that little black cable, we take a zip tie it down. Cable tie. Alright. Now I'm here. With the fan hub plugged in. Got this fan cable here. And it is very short, so I'm going to have to run the Molex power in here. Plug it in up the top there. Which I'm hoping we can make it look sort of neat. But that's okay. Stand this one back up. So if I sit down with those couple little bits and bobs. We'll grab this cable. It needs to feed in down here. There we go. One, and that's the second one. So I'll run them down for the fan hub. Now run them down. Just to move them for a sec. Alright, now let's figure out what's going to be the nicest way to run the. So the GPU power, just about there. Personally, I think the best way to plug that one in might be to try and waste a bit of its room, because I'll plug the graphics card cable. After all that time trying to find it, realizing it was in the box, I still didn't plug it in to the PSU. Seems a little daft, but it's okay. Now, it is really hard for me to see. But there it is, and it goes in that way. It's a thick cable, real hard to manipulate. I'll move you out of the way, that'll make that a little easier for me. There we go. It's something I keep telling myself nearly every time I work with a modular power supply. Plug in the cables you need before you put it in. And yet, I never do. Now this black cable is going to run probably under there. Will it still reach? Yes. So let's get the graphics card plugged in. Which, if you haven't noticed, I still need to put in a couple screws here, which means I'll probably need to move that panel again. And I'll put the 2 recommended screws. GPU didn't come with it, but I do have, not in that's the ones I'm using, but I do have in my tool bag a bunch of screws for that. Now that one I'm going to try and run like that, but we'll see how much room I can get. Cable management isn't necessarily my forte, but hopefully I can make some good use of all this. Now the Molex is actually to power that fan there. We're going to pull through. I'm going to plug. What's going to be the easiest way to clean this up? Now if I want to have that put in there, it will reach. So yeah, we'll go with the last one. Easy peasy, Molex power. Pretty basic, easy fan. So we're going to route this cable under there as much as possible. We're going to route that one under there as well. Well, not under, but behind there. That way, whatever cabling there is at least either behind the bay or behind the case. The next part we should probably start considering is UPS. No, there. Getting this one in. Now that's running there. I'm going to try and put that down there because I'm going to try and keep as many cables out of the way as possible. Now I'll slide that in there, and I need to get this one plugged in. It shouldn't be hard. Done. There's this one being difficult. I'm going to move this one out of the way. Because that clicked in on the way. The large boy doesn't want to click in. I'm not entirely sure why. Let's give it another go. Yeah, it doesn't want to go in all the way. There's some lines up. Alright. That's actually very puzzling to me. These cables, all of them sit in nice and flush. And this one's leaving maybe 2 mil in a gap. and obviously shouldn't. Oh, there we go. Went in perfectly that time. Alright, same deal. We're going to try and run the cabling up in there. And I'll worry about grabbing them at the back to try and clean it up a bit. No one wants to look at that bird's nest. No, I sure as well don't. Although, to be honest, my fan is, my computer's a bit of a bird's nest. I lost my old power supply cover, so now all my cabling's everywhere, kind of like this is right now. Alright, so by the looks of this, I think I've got everything in here plugged in. Now this is going to be probably a bad angle for you guys. Here, I'll see if I can tilt it a bit. Now I'm just double checking all the connections to make sure that everything is covered and nothing looks loose. Everything looks like it is in pretty well to me. Yeah. Yep, awesome. I'm gonna grab the power cable, plug it in, make sure it all lights up. I don't have a monitor plugged in at the moment, but here, I'll lay it down. So we can look at it all together. Switch on. And it's on. Hallelujah. As you can see, graphics card, nice and pretty. I do have a debug light on, but I believe that's telling me that there's no monitor plugged in. Oh wait, no, it's just power cycling through. So, yeah. Alright, perfect. And now she works. Turns on, power button's all working. Now we've got everything in. We've done a lot more talking than I would usually do ever. So I think the next thing we can start talking about is cable management. Now I'm probably not going to sit here and have you boringly watch me cable manage this bit of a bird's nest, as I think I said, but I'm going to give it a good go. I'll come back to you and I will show you where we got to. Now hopefully this doesn't take me too long. Just looked at the time before. It's about midnight, about 1 a.m. sorry now. And so happy Easter. Woohoo! And I'm going to get this ready. I'll put the 2 screws in here as well that we talked about. I'll plug in the rest of those, which will take me just like 2 minutes. Make sure the Molex fan's plugged in, and I'll check the clearance of the side panel, which I already did. It should be perfect. If I checked it, it's like it could be touching. As in, if I just pushed on the side panel, I could make it touch, but it's just shy of that. It was actually perfect clearance on that cooler. All right, so thanks for watching. Yeah, bye. Alright guys, welcome back. I've taken the time to check over the cable management. I plugged in the rest of the front I/O. I booted it up, I plugged it into a monitor to make sure I booted. No worries. Went into BIOS, made sure everything there was set. There wasn't much I had to do. Everything's pretty self-explanatory this day and age. As you can see, I cable managed as much as possible the little bird's nest we had. But unfortunately, with these older cases, you don't have room for cable management. In most cases now, come with a little box or something behind the motherboard. There's nothing here. So we've done what we could. We've tied as much down as we could to make it look as neat as possible. But that's about where we're at. So let's pick this up. We'll have a quick squeeze. So as mentioned, we have a 9800. We have the B860. We have the DA1000R. We have a RTX 5070. Then we have the Forza 135 for cooling. We had underneath the graphics card, and not under the graphics card, but next to it under the block is the M.2 slot. And in there we had the P3 4 terabyte. What else do we have to talk about? I'm not sure. Everything seems to be done. Everything seems to be working. We're going to get it out and get ready for the giveaway for it. Thanks for watching. Bye.